I'm not very good at talking about feelings. I've always been better at discipline than confession, better at training than explaining what's happening inside me. But today, I'm not speaking to the crowd, not to the cameras, not to the noise that follows my name everywhere. I'm speaking to you, just you. And if you're listening closely right now, it's probably because part of this feels familiar to your own life. The pressure, the expectations, the feeling that everyone sees the result, but almost no one sees the weight. People think confidence means you never doubt, that strength means you never get tired. They see trophies, records, highlights. They don't see what it costs to carry yourself every day at a level where mistakes are remembered and silence is judged. What I've learned over time is that real strength isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's choosing not to explain yourself to people who never wanted to understand you in the first place. There have been many people around me, admiring me, studying me, comparing themselves to me. Very few ever made me feel safe enough to be honest without performance. And I didn't choose those people because they were impressed. I chose them because they didn't ask me to become smaller so they could feel bigger. They didn't treat my life like something they needed to compete with. They let me exist without interrogation, and that changes everything. Most people don't realize this, but pressure doesn't only come from rivals. It comes from expectations placed by the people closest to you. From the need to constantly reassure, constantly prove, constantly explain why you are focused, quiet, intense. I've lived in environments where love felt like another responsibility, where connection felt like something I had to maintain instead of something I could return to. That kind of pressure doesn't motivate you, it drains you. There are moments when my mind goes inward, not away from people, not away from connection, but inward. When decisions pile up, when responsibility feels heavier than words, in those moments, I become quiet. Not distant, not cold, just quiet. Many people misunderstand that silence. They rush to fill it. They question it. They turn it into a story about themselves. And the more noise they create, the harder it becomes to stay present at all. What I respect most are the people who don't panic when things go quiet. The ones who understand that silence isn't absence. It's processing, it's discipline happening internally. The people who don't demand explanations when you don't have language yet. They don't turn space into threat. They allow rhythm. And rhythm matters more than constant intensity. I've never expressed care the way people expect. I don't always speak when others would. I don't always reassure with words. My emotions show up as consistency, as showing up tired but still showing up, as staying when it would be easier to step back. Many people wanted a version of me that was easier to read, easier to reassure themselves with. They wanted emotion to look familiar so they could trust it. When it didn't, they assumed something was missing. The right people don't try to translate you into something more acceptable. They pay attention to how you actually move through life. They notice patterns instead of speeches. They understand that reliability is a language, that presence doesn't need constant display. When someone sees you that way, you stop feeling like you're failing an invisible test every day. I've also learned how dangerous it is when people lose themselves trying to stand next to you. It never starts dramatically. It starts with small compromises, small adjustments, slowly shaping their life around yours until resentment replaces admiration. That kind of closeness doesn't strengthen a bond, it weakens it. Because now you're carrying not just your own weight, but theirs too. What feels different is standing next to someone who stays whole, someone who disagrees without conflict, who holds their ground without needing to win, who doesn't turn their life into an extension of yours. That kind of stability doesn't drain you, it grounds you. You don't feel responsible for holding them together. You don't feel trapped by their dependence. You feel accompanied, not managed. I've always been wary of love that tightens its grip when it feels uncertain. Because control isn't closeness. Surveillance isn't care. Real connection doesn't come from holding tighter. It comes from trust. From allowing movement without interpreting it as escape. From understanding that freedom doesn't weaken bonds, it reveals which ones are real. When someone doesn't try to own you, you don't feel the urge to run. When they don't monitor your presence, you don't protect your independence from them. You stay because you choose to, not because you're cornered. That's the difference between possession and respect. There's something important people rarely talk about. What someone does when you're not around tells you everything. Not in dramatic moments, but in ordinary ones. Do they keep living? Do they keep growing? Or do they stop and wait, turning absence into sacrifice and sacrifice into resentment? I've seen how heavy love becomes when someone pauses their life and expects you to restart it for them. The strongest connections I felt were with people who kept moving, who didn't need my presence to feel whole. That doesn't make you feel less important. It makes you feel chosen. Because when they step into your life, you know it's intention, not necessity. There's always a story around me, a version of me shaped by headlines, opinions, expectations. Most people speak to that story before they ever speak to the man. They admire it or fear it, but they rarely look past it. The rare ones notice the pauses, the tired moments, the uncertainty that comes with carrying standards that never sleep. Being seen as a human instead of a symbol changes how safe you feel. You don't have to perform confidence. You don't have to maintain an image that never rests. You're allowed to be unfinished, allowed to doubt without being corrected.
Presence like that doesn't demand anything from you. It allows honesty. I've been around people who treated care like correction, who listened to fix, not to understand. Slowly, love turned into a project. And nothing creates distance faster than feeling like you're always being improved. Respect is allowing someone to carry their own weight, even when it's heavy. Walking beside them without trying to reshape them into something easier to love. Love has never been the center of my life. Not because it doesn't matter, but because my life has always had many moving parts. Some people try to make love carry everything, to be the solution, the anchor, the explanation. That pressure breaks it. Love doesn't need to be everything to be real. It needs honesty, space, balance. When love is allowed to exist alongside work, silence, ambition, doubt, it becomes resilient. It doesn't panic. It doesn't demand proof every day. And that kind of trust changes everything. You stop feeling like one mistake will undo everything. You stop performing certainty when you're still thinking. I've learned this slowly, not from one heartbreak, but from repetition. From patterns that look different but felt the same. Intensity fades. Brilliance alone doesn't last. What lasts is steadiness. Compatibility in how you live, not just how you feel. I didn't choose people because they were perfect. I chose them because they allowed imperfection without punishment, because they stood on their own ground and invited me to stand there with them. That invitation matters more than noise, more than admiration, more than intensity. If you're listening to this and something feels uncomfortably familiar, then this isn't really about me. It's about recognizing the kind of connection that doesn't drain you, that doesn't shrink you, that doesn't require constant defense, the kind that lets you stay who you are and still walk beside someone fully. I'm not chasing intensity anymore. I'm choosing clarity. I'm choosing peace that doesn't ask me to slow down who I am. If love comes, it will walk, not run. It will recognize me, not reshape me. And if it takes time, I trust myself enough now to wait without forcing. If this spoke to you, don't explain it. Just type Ronaldo in the comments. That's how I'll know you understood.